and I'm now joined by Simeon Courtie with his fantastic book, The Long and Winding Road. And this is a fantastic book, by the way. It's a great travel log. It's one of the best travel logs I've read because it's an interesting combination of kind of like chaos with family and travelling around the world in a VW van.
Yeah, but driving around the world isn't that original. Lots of people have done that, and a few people have even done it in a VW camper van. But what not many people have done is bundle 3 children into that van. So a family of 5 living in one old VW camper van for a year, and we drove from Liverpool all the way around the world to New York. So yeah, that was quite a unique challenge, and kind of fills a lot of people with fear when they even consider doing something like that, including me.
Yeah, I have to admit, like when you were talking about the early stages of planning, and you picked up the old banger of a VW van, which actually did break down a few times, I felt quite nervous for you. I was like, something's going to happen on this trip, maybe on several occasions.
Yeah, well, we bought the van on eBay because we didn't really have that much money. So it was always going to break down.
You're kind of setting yourself up for like a few adventures there.
But it wasn't a complete suicide mission, because we'd done a bit of research, Simone, and we realised that if you got the right type of VW van, people anywhere in the world could fix it. Basically, a guy who runs a garage not far from me said, you look at any of those documentaries, you know, look at Michael Palin or whatever, there's always a Type 25 camper van in the background somewhere. And it's true, they're all over the world. So we broke down in Syria, in India, all over the place. But there was always someone who could kind of swing a spanner enough to be able to fix it.
So you're just about all right. There was one time where you were in Italy where it was really bad, and you spent like loads of money on it, and even like took money out of your trip because they said you needed some massive turbo.
Can't believe you're bringing this up, Simone. It's the one thing that I'm still in therapy
You needed
over.
a turbo engine, so they made you spend like $2,000 or something?
Yes.
And then you discovered afterwards it wasn't even that part of it.
You're laughing at my woes. Yes, it was incorrectly diagnosed. It cost us 2 weeks of our trip and
painful.
£2,000. And then when we drove away, the same problem kept happening. And, and a garage further down the road correctly diagnosed it as a €37 repair for a fuel filter. So that was quite an early setback in the trip. But, you know, because of that, we ended up camping outside a church in this city called Piacenza because we couldn't find a campsite.
Yeah.
And we inadvertently interrupted a wedding rehearsal. And the bride and groom came to see who we were and invited us for dinner. And through that series of events, we ended up staying over at his mum and dad's house and then doing a big press conference. And in fact, we were, the next day, the mayor of the city basically gave us like the key to their town because they were a UNICEF funding city and we were busking for UNICEF. That's another weird strand to the story, is we decided to busk the Beatles from strawberry fields in Liverpool to strawberry fields in New York.
Oh my goodness. And what was the favourite song? What was the song you most sang?
Well, the first song we learned, we're not musicians.
As a family, you decided to do this?
And we're not musicians. That was half the challenge. We bought the instruments on eBay and decided we had to learn as we went. So the first song we learned when we were at Strawberry Fields in Liverpool was All You Need Is Love, with me on the ukulele and my
God.
kids banging
I have
stuff.
to see this. Are you performing anywhere now? Because no. This is something I have to see.
You do not want to see us do this.
Really do.
No. Well, there is a website. If you go to beatnikbeatles.com, you can see video of us doing it. But I wouldn't recommend it, to be fair.
Well, were your daughters embarrassed, especially the teenage one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the 13-year-old Ella, the girls were 13, 11, and 9 when we did this journey, and actually, the eldest one, Ella, was okay with it. She played the flute and she was all right. It was the middle one, Bevan, who had a squeeze box. A German squeeze box that we bought on eBay, and she hated busking to start with. Yeah. But by the time we'd done a few countries and she knew that she wouldn't see anyone she knew, she got really into it.
And she realised she wasn't, she was...
By the time we were coming across America, we knew 8 songs.
And you knew it off by heart, you got your
we
rhythm,
were good. We could do a proper set.
You're like the Von Trapp family or something.
With none of the talent. Yeah, just like that. But with more jokes.
Oh my God. So where was the place you were most well received? Like, where did they recognise the Beatles songs the most? Because I suppose there were some countries where maybe they didn't know.
Exactly. I mean, one of the reasons that we came up with that idea was because the youngest in our family, Edie, is a massive Beatles fan. And when she was 7, she couldn't believe that they knew the Beatles all over the world. And I said they did. And so to prove the point, we said, well, let's as we go travelling, let's just see if they really do. And I can categorically confirm they don't. And it stops in Turkey.
They were like, what
yeah,
is this?
in Istanbul, we were in Taksim Square in Istanbul, going, all you need is love, come on. And just blank faces. Nobody.
Just totally blank.
It could have been the way we were singing them, but basically.
maybe that could have been.
It could have been it, but
sure
no,
they
didn't really know the Beatles very much in the Middle East or in India, surprisingly. No, it picked up again in Australia.
Right. Yeah. Can you tell me more? I'm dying to know more, but after the break.
Yeah, I'll stay right here.
Good. We'll be back after the break with more lads. Hi, and I'm still joined by the wonderful Simeon Courtie with his book, The Long and Winding Road. And we were just having a great laugh about your Beatles singing experience, the Beatniks.
Yeah, the Beatnik Beatles, we called ourselves. Yes. Yeah, we didn't know any Beatles songs when we left, but we started to learn them as we went around. And the weird thing is about performing in the street. I don't know if you've ever done it, Simone. It's really
I wouldn't want
scary.
to do that to anybody.
It's frightening. It's so scary. But by doing that, we met loads of interesting people that we wouldn't have otherwise met. And the whole point of this journey, really, was not to raise money for UNICEF. That was a good perk, I guess. But it was really about meeting different people in different countries. And we realised that if we were going to just fly from airport to airport and stay in hotels, that wouldn't really count as travelling the world. So by driving and busking, we forced ourselves to interact with loads of strangers in all sorts of bizarre countries.
So you started off in Liverpool, and where did you go? Like, give us an idea of the route.
Basically,
with the actual VW, because there were some points where you had to like ship it over, but
yeah, because you can't really drive all the way. You have to put it on a ship at some points. We drove all the way down through Europe, so we did down through Italy, Turkey, Greece, and then we went across Syria and Jordan.
Syria, oh my God.
Did you enjoy this Syrian border crossing moment?
I was really worried for you there, because I'm generally quite scared of immigration. Those people scare me because they always interrogate you. But your whole thing was quite scary because you had to send your passports back to England.
Yeah. They wouldn't let us in, is the point. I mean, we were in Syria 3 months before the uprising. And of course, at the time, we didn't know that.
You didn't know that, yeah.
But they were really defensive and quite hostile, actually, to visitors. So having come from super friendly Turkey into really icy, suspicious Syria, we found it a really tough place to be and didn't really enjoy it until we got to Damascus and we met a couple of really nice people in Damascus. But it was only, obviously, with hindsight, we could see as we were travelling through India and into Australia, we were watching the news and it was all kicking off.
It was all starting to, yeah.
It's so sad
it explained
now
a lot
what's
then,
happened
didn't it?
there. So that really explained a lot about our time there. And, you know, you mentioned the kids earlier. It's kind of interesting because our 3 girls are now probably, you know, the only girls of their age in the country who kind of watch the news and are genuinely concerned about Syria because we see footage on the news of Aleppo where we spent days, you know, and it's heartbreaking, really.
It is really, that whole thing is totally tragic.
Yeah,
it's just amazing that you were actually there, like literally just
before.
Started.
You couldn't do the journey now. That, you know, you were saying about the route, it was either go through Syria or go across Egypt. And at the moment, you couldn't do either of those things in a camper van.
There as well,
you wouldn't be able to. And so we were lucky that we managed to do this just before, you know, it all kicked off in the Middle East.
And India was a very mixed experience, but even though it was hard at times, you did get a payoff because you were in a Bollywood movie, weren't you?
Yes, I did. This is a random...
I'm going to watch this now.
Yeah, a completely random set of circumstances. But while we were in India, we were in India for 9 weeks, and we were driving from Mumbai, where the van came on a ship from Jordan on a container ship. So we met the van in Mumbai, and we were heading across to Chennai. But while we were waiting for Penny, our camper van, to arrive, a guy, a complete randomer, who was looking for extras for a Bollywood film just walked up to me and said, "Would you like to be in a Bollywood film?" And
like,
you know,
yeah, I have nothing else to do.
You know,
why not?
yeah.
You've got to say yes to that. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about my past panto and children's television career earlier, so I'm not going to say no to being in a Bollywood film, am I? So yeah,
it's probably a little bit like panto, actually. Yeah.
And I got to meet Shah Rukh Khan, who I didn't
know
realise.
how massive he is?
He's huge. He's like the Brad Pitt of Bollywood.
You have no idea.
So it was a bizarre day. So yeah, I'm in a Bollywood film. I'm Barman 2 at the very background.
I'm going to watch that. I'm going to look at.
There's some serious bar skills going on there. Let me tell you, it was very good.
So, where was your favourite place ultimately? Where you know, like what had the most impact on you?
It's really hard to say because they were all so different.
They were all different.
I mean, the kids would go back to Australia and loved that whole
lifestyle
outdoor
there.
life. Yeah, that beach. Everything's sort of a beach is always a stone's throw from wherever you are in Australia. They loved all that. California blew us away because we thought of it as just Hollywood and LA and rollerblading along the beach. But of course, you've got Sequoia, you've got Yosemite National Park, amazing snowy mountains, baking hot deserts, all in one state. So I would definitely go back to California like a shot. I mean, San Francisco and places were amazing. But the most surprising country that we still talk about was probably Turkey.
Turkey, really?
Yeah, because we had thought, we had looked at the size of it on the map and thought we'll just drive through it. It'll take about 2 weeks. But in fact, we stayed a month and loved it because every person we met in Turkey, from Istanbul all the way down to Iskenderun on the Syrian border, was so friendly. So I'd go back to Turkey any day.
So just one last thing. What would your tip be for travelling for anybody else who'd want to do a trip like this?
It's simple. My tip to anyone who might be inspired by the long and winding road is do it.
I want to do it now.
You'll always find reasons not to. There'll always be hurdles.
There will always,
But just overcome the hurdles one at a time and make it happen.
And get a VW van?
Yeah, I'd recommend it. Yeah. In fact, if you want one, you know.
You've got one in your garage.
I've got one. I might be persuaded to let it go. No, she's one of the family. I can't sell her.
Well, maybe you will if you're offered a good price because it's got history now.
It has got history. It's a famous van.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, do it.
Thank you so much for coming in, Simeon.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And that is Simeon Courtie's book, The Long and Winding